nerds? It's Ebony Warrior Studios here, and today we're going to be building Snake Eyes sword. So this is going to sort of be an all-encompassing sort of tutorial on how to make cosplay swords, convention-safe swords out of EVA foam. The materials you're going to need for this is obviously your cutting tools and EVA foam, and you're also going to need some steel railing. This you can find at Home Depot. It is, hold on, let me see what the sizing is. It is half inch steel railing. It's a plain steel bar. That's what it's labeled as. So you can find that at Home Depot. And it comes in a really long rail, and you can cut it with, what I like to do is use my Dremel cutting bit, and I will cut it to where it's just thin enough and I can snap it in half. So this is a scrap piece that I have, and it's luckily the perfect size to go right inside Snake Eyes sword. So I've already gone through the process of drawing my templates and making the basic sword shape for Snake Eyes. So here we've already got Snake Eyes sword here. The base cut out of foam. And I can go into another video about how to make all the foam whatever parts, or the template parts. So this here is our basic shape of the sword cut out of the EVA foam. Pardon the, craft mess, but this is what the sword looks like. So this is just half of the sword right here. But what we're gonna do is we're going to go outside and we're going to sand, because this metal bar, steel bar that we have here is going to be our core for the weapon. So it's going to sit on the inside just like that, and it's going to keep our EVA foam rigid, and it's also going to add a little bit of nice weight to the weapon. So we're going to go outside. I'm going to trace some lines on here so I know where it's going to be, but I'm going to go outside and I'm going to sand some divots on the inside of the foam to make a space for this bar to sit inside both shells of our EVA foam. So this is going to sit right on top of here, just like that. Before I go outside and sand the divots out, I want to line it up and see where I want the divots to be. So I'm going to use a Sharpie and just go along the steel bar where I would like it to be inside the EVA foam divots. So I'm just going to trace along there, just real basic lines, so that way I know where it's going to sit. There you go. Real easy, real simple. Alright, so this is the cool part. Obviously you're going to need some sort of protection for your breathing. So I have a respirator that I'm going to be putting on to do my sanding. And your trusty dusty Dremel to sand out the back of the EVA foam sword, so your steel can fit inside of it. So I'm going to show you how deep you want to do it. You want to do it, the steel bar is not that thick, so you don't have to do it that deep into the foam. Obviously you don't want to cut all the way through your foam, so I will show you guys how deep you want your divots to be. Okay, so I've sanded the back of the EVA foam to create that divot that I wanted for the steel bar. Now the cool thing about this steel bar is that it's not too thick, so you can, if you want to, you can go ahead and do one side of the EVA foam and cut the divot out, and then you can put the steel bar in, put the other piece on top. You should be able to get a nice flush connection if you do it deep enough. Now, obviously, you run the risk of going all the way through your foam and going too deep. So I like to be safe sometimes and cut the other side and do the other side, do a divot in the other side of the foam. But obviously, that's up to you. For this build, since I got it just right and it's going, allowing me to go flush with the steel inside of it, I'm just going to go with this one side of the foam that I did. So this is about how deep you want your divot to be. It's not deep at all, it's just a nice scraping across the surface, so that way your steel can sit inside just like that. And so you'll have a nice steel core to keep your weapon rigid. Okay, so now that I have everything ready to put the steel inside of it, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put some hot glue on the inside of this just to hold it down. It's going to make it secure inside this piece of the foam. So I'm going to do that really quick. And then once that's done, I'm going to put some contact cement along the inside of both pieces and coat it every inch of it, so that way when I stick both pieces together, they will hold properly. Alright, so what I've done is I've taken my contact cement, which is in this bottle here. It's a lot easier to, if you put your contact cement into a squirt bottle, it's a lot easier to apply it to your surfaces. But I have applied the contact cement to the two halves of the sword, and they should be drying in just a few minutes here. And then I'm going to sandwich them both together, and the contact cement should hold nice and tight. And if I have any gaps, I'm going to go ahead and fill those up with some quick seal. Alright, so this should be nice and dry now. So we're going to apply these carefully together so that way that they line up properly. I'll lay this down here. Let's start at the top. With some even pressure and sandwich them together, and the contact cement will hold. There we go. Sweet. All right. There it is. That's holding nice. It's holding really well. Cool beans. All right. So that's really sturdy and works well. Okay, so what we're going to do next is to get that blade edge, we're going to bevel it. But first, to bevel it, what you need to do is you need to take your trusty Sharpie, and you're going to draw your where the edge is going to end. So using my reference, I know that the blade comes about here. So I can make a rough line with my finger there, and then I can go back over it with some Sharpie, and I'll know where the blade edge will end. And then we're gonna go outside and we're gonna cut that at a 45-degree angle to create that blade edge. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw this up. Alright, so this is pretty easy to do here. You're just using my reference to create that, where the end of the blade edge is gonna, or where the blade edge is going to end. So I'm gonna use my ruler here, create a straight line across for that blade edge. There we go. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Cool. So I'm going to repeat this on the other side of my sword. And then I'm going to use the Dremel to bevel this at a 45-degree angle. Not only are we going to sand and bevel the blade edge, now we are actually going to go over the entire sword so that everything's even and level. So there's a couple of places where the templates don't match up properly, so we're going to go over this and sand every single bit of this so that everything's level. And we're also going to slightly round the hilt of the sword here, so that way it makes a nice grip. So let's go ahead and get this blade beveled and sanded. Alright, so I got it sanded and beveled. The blade edge is there. Let's see it. It looks nice. So what I'm going to do now is go over this entire thing with 220 grit sandpaper, so that way I have buffed out any sort of imperfections or anything like that. So, especially the blade edge. This will smooth the foam out and give the blade a nice clean look. And then after I'm done with this, going over with the sandpaper, I'm going to hit it with a heat gun so I can heat treat the entire thing, and that's also going to help smooth it out and get rid of any imperfections that I may have. So you can see the difference between non-sanded. You can really start to see the difference once you go over it. Anything that you hit with the Dremel, you want to go over with 220 grit sandpaper, so that way it'll smooth it out. I'm going to smooth that out. And that's going to fill in those imperfections that I have across the surface. Just smooth that in. There we go. Fill those imperfections in on the surface. That way. Nice. Smooth blade. Gonna have to wait like an hour or two for this to dry. I'm gonna do this on both sides and just let it dry. So that way, that's smooth blade. So while the sword is drying with the caulking on it, I might as well show you the templates that I made for the Snake Eyes katana. So it's really, really simple to make templates. You just got to draw them out. You know, you use your reference to make whatever sword you want to make. I will typically use my big drawing pad here, and I will sketch out. First of all, I want to, I'll figure out what the actual length of the sword is, and then I'll sketch it out. And obviously, I cut it in half because both of these pieces of the template wouldn't fit, or the entire thing wouldn't fit on a piece of EVA foam. So I made it into two halves, so that I then transferred to foam. And then when I had those cut out, I glued them together, that piece to this piece here. So if you have any questions on making the swords or making your templates, I can go into further detail. Just ask me, shoot me a message about that and ask me about that. So we're almost ready for plasti dip, and what I've done here is I've created a very simple hand guard for the sword. I used two thicknesses, or two levels of EVA foam to create the same thickness as the sword here. So it's going to sit right down here. And I just drew a basic template of what the handguard looks like, and then lined it up correctly with that thickness of the foam. So when I cut this out, it should fit perfectly over the sword here. And as you can see, the spackling has dried, the quick seal. So as soon as I put Plasti Dip on here, I should have a nice smooth surface. Okay, so we skipped forward a couple steps, but first I layered my sword in Plasti Dip. So you see I have everything together, and I put the Plasti Dip on there, and then once the Plasti Dip dried, 2 good coats of it, I went ahead and put some silver paint along it. So got a nice base coat going on. I'm gonna go ahead and start painting and detailing now. That's the fun part of the build. So you can see that the sword has a base layer of silver on it. So the weathering and the detailing is really going to make this weapon pop, right? So, but as of right now, it looks pretty cool. So we have gotten to the end of our build here. The sword is pretty much done. Now, the painting and weathering portion, I'm probably going to do another video to show you guys how I do my painting and weathering. But I just wanted to let you know, the basics of it. So what I'm going to go do next is go in and do the details for his sword. He's got some red striping and things like that on the blade. It's got a black hilt, and I'm going to wrap it in some leather and stuff like that. But and I'm going to, black wash with some liquid shoe polish and some acrylics. So it's going to come out looking really cool and weathered, but this is the basic sword here, and it's pretty much ready to go. So I will show you guys the finished product, and we'll probably do another video to do, show you my painting techniques. But this is how you make an EVA foam sword. Started off with a paper template, and then worked our way up to the foam, and, the steel core and everything, and it's nice and sturdy, and it's convention safe. So that's how you make an EVA foam sword. Guys, I'm so glad you could join me for this video, and if you have any other questions, feel free to email me at ebonywarriorstudios.com or go to facebook.com/xcfet and shoot me a message there. But as always, it's Ebony Warrior Studios with blinding speed, master quality, untold savagery.